Our speaker is Kailing from the University of Birmingham, UK. Today, she presents her talk on the topic Love and Nation, the passion and peril of romantic love in patriotic propaganda discourse in contemporary China. Kailing is Assistant Professor in International Development at the University of Birmingham, United Kingdom. Her research utilizes transnational feminist theories and methodologies to explore the political dimensions of gender and sexuality in China's contemporary governance. Her interdisciplinary work covers gender studies, sociology, cultural studies, and political science. Her current projects focus on reproductive politics, the gendering of Chinese nationalism and effective governance, and feminist activism within Chinese diaspora communities. Kailing is the book series editor for Gendering Asia Society, Politics and Development, published by Amsterdam University Press. Today she will give a talk on the topic Love and Nation, the passion and peril of romantic love in patriotic propaganda discourse in contemporary China.
So basically, we just started to show you one of the speech given by our current president of China, and he was talking to the Chinese Communist Youth League at the 100 anniversaries. And in this statement, you can see clearly then how his construction of hierarchical love, the purest form, should be linked to the love of the nation. And I guess this shouldn't be that surprising, and as we all know that how these kind of political propaganda work. But what intrigues me is how can this kind of message being delivered in terms of the modern days 21st century propaganda media. That is what this presentation will be focused on. So love and the nation. So for this presentation, I draw data from a data set, which larger data set built on the People's Daily. And for those of you who know China, People's Daily is one of the mouthpiece of the party state. And one of the WeChat platform is one widely used media platform nowadays in China, has the widest reach to the public. So basically what I did was looking at the WeChat account for this particular newspaper and its daily top news feed. So for people who has WeChat, and you will receive this kind of top news feed into your mobile phone, and you will see this particular the headline stories. So I only focus on the headline stories between 2020 January till 2022 because the funding run out. I would wish to continue. So look, but I think they still give me enough data to examine what kind of story has been presented there. So those are the questions that I had in mind, and I hope that from the presentation, I don't have a clear answer yet, so please do give me feedback and see what you have heard from these stories I presented. So I'm interested in how is the notion of love, I in Chinese, invoked in the state-led propaganda discourses. And importantly, who loves whom? Yeah, what kind of love are these, and how are they related to each other? Especially, we all know that talk about private feelings and sentiment. How does that work in terms of when the state's trying to connect to the personal, to the nation? And also, eventually, what does love do in the state discourse and propaganda? Does it work? And I guess that's also an empirical question, requires a further field work, I guess. So this project is also built on the existing research I had done with some of my colleagues, Zhou Yun from University of Oslo. So in one of the papers we published is trying to examine that how the state media in the 21st century in China has increasingly taken a humanistic and desire-centered approach within which love is its central vehicle to communicate its propaganda messages. So for this project, we were looking at this kind of TV series and then this kind of more popular social media platform, not only just the party papers, newspapers. So from that paper, we kind of already come to this conclusion that heteronormative romantic love exemplified by the model citizens, which is a socialist Chinese tradition, form the base to extend individuals' affective loyalty and commitment to other family members, including intergenerational love, filial piety in the Chinese context, and also love for the other people in the society, in the wider society, and the Chinese nation state by extension that the CCP claims to represent. And so from this project, we were also kind of trying to conceptualize this kind of emotional responsiveness in the propaganda in the 21st century in China. In my view, I think works really well to a large extent, that how this kind of responsive propaganda connects to popular desires for love, and which create this kind of authenticity and a sense of identity, and also this kind of aesthetic appeal of Sinophone classicism, and which this conclusion is based on a variety of media platforms, not only the newspaper. Yeah. So this is the background of this particular project. But without further ado, I'm going to show you some of these kind of WeChat and people's daily news feed. I don't know how many of you can read Chinese, but in summary, during this period I examined, you can see a lot of headline stories, which the title is literally just "Congratulations, they are married." So it's not this story, the picture, the screenshot I show you here is not unique. Yeah, you can find multiple. Like I think on average there were 20 top news stories titled in the same title. Congratulations, they are married. So normally the story goes, a young couple who are both working for the state, either the public police officers or they serving for the public servants, etc., etc. They both are highly dedicated to their work and they mutually support each other in their work, and finally they find love in their work. So this is a classic kind of socialist model citizen's private life, but in this case is represented to the public as something to be publicly celebrated as the love story, the ultimate love story consummated in marriage. So I think that's really intriguing, and how the model citizen's private life is instrumentalized to present an idealized romantic love in the Chinese version between the married couple as a base for the purest love to emerge. As we remember at the beginning, the purest love is love for the nation. In this case, the marriage of the couple formed the base to serve the states. And, the next kind of, let's say, genre or type in this newsfeed is erecting the sacrificial self, in my view, as an object of love. And here I give you an example. It's a letter, a love letter written by a frontier soldiers. We don't know how real or whether it's actually true letter or is made up. So the letter basically says, he wrote to his wife, say, if I die in battle, I will leave you with my pension. If I'm disabled, I would leave our divorce certificate for you because I don't want to become your burden. If I come back, I would give the rest of my love to you. Yeah. I don't know how you feel about it when you read it, but apparently in the Chinese context, if you're familiar with the text and you know, you will say, what a love story. This is very romantic in the Chinese sentimental. Anyway, so here you can see the several key ingredients to form a beautiful Chinese romantic love story. Waiting wife, love letter from a heroic husband who is a People's Liberation Army soldiers, and with potential heroic death to guard the nation. I think all these key ingredients are there. But here, I think this is just one unique story. However, the same ingredients can be applied to similar kind of stories that are published in the newspaper, and which is basically that one person, the husband often, and is willing to sacrifice himself for the nation, whereas the loving wife, their partner, are willing to support them in whatever they do in this regard. And another type story, as you can see, is that we all know disability in China is very often, people with disabilities very often marginalized, but sometimes in maybe 2 or 3 cases, these stories also cover people with disability. And here you can see a young and self-determined blind girl, and she basically, the story goes that she conquered extraordinary difficulties in life with higher goal in mind. And she achieved her education despite she has been blind, and she decided to return to her school to dedicate her life to the blind children's education in China. And then the story ends with she is rewarded with love and finding a loving partner who finds her so lovable because of her character and she has shown, and therefore they are happily married, and the husband is willing to support her basically career to improve the education for blind children in China. So I think you can see some similarities that marriage is the end goal as a reward for people. And here I think also interesting is love as inclusive strategies that including these disabled people in the Chinese nationalist discourse. But with certain conditions, you have to be able to willing to contribute and sacrifice yourself serving the nation, in my view. Another one is you often see that love has been used as a bonding strategy for ethnic harmony and national unity. And here, well, this is just one example of a couple, and Mr. Lin, I think he's from Taiwan, and then he married somebody, or moved to Nanjing to married a girl from Nanjing, and they run a coffee shop. So this story basically, this one is less kind of political, overtly political, say they are serving the nation, but just simply trying to present this couple's love story as somebody who can and binding the nation together across Taiwan Strait. So I think this is another example that is interesting. I can give you more example about ethnic harmony and how an ethnic minority marry a Han Chinese, etc., etc. Finally, is immortalized love, and ultimately, yes, obviously, you can see marriage is the goal as a reward for love and for people who are lovable, and they should be rewarded with marriage, happy marriage. But in the end, one of the ultimate love, you need to be immortalized, buried in one grave. So the lifelong companionship as a true love story is also very much highlighted in these propaganda messages. Here again, model citizens and their love story, and then how they support each other through their life to be a medical expert serving the nation. But in the end, their romanticized love and dedication to each other is instrumentalized to invoke the public's affectionate alignment with the nation state. And it's highlighted they were buried in one grave. And that is the ultimate signature of how true their love is. If I may quickly conclude, because of the time limit, and I think there is a shaping romantic love with Chinese characteristics emerging from this story, I hope, I'm trying to argue. And I think one of the kind of shared commonality is this kind of erecting a sacrificial self as a social and political pacifier, if I may say that. The reason I'm saying that is all these stories emerged at a time when Chinese society is going through radical, rapid transformations. We all know the high divorce rate and the dropping birth rate, as many of you are aware, the news these days, and the state is very anxious about the future of the nation state. And I think that's where we see this kind of heightened emphasis of heteronormative marriage, love marriage, as a base to continue this productive and reproductive nation that the party states is still trying to hope to hold tight. However, the question of how sustainable the future of this approach is an empirical question that I hope I'm trying to answer in my project. Because of the time, I'm going to stop here, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you for